All right, y'all. So this is the part of Vibes and Views where we have the conversation, and I'm so excited.
Short.
Is it short? Is it short?
Great. Great.
I'm so excited to be talking to you, and we talked a little bit backstage, but we talked to Tiana Paris a bit ago for her show No Good Deed. She's from South Carolina, and I think it's just so crazy that these actresses like you and Tiana and Danielle Brooks from South Carolina going through this program. When did the acting bug bite you, Patina?
The acting bug bit me probably when I was about 9. I mean, I always loved watching movies and singing and stuff like that. I grew up singing in the church, so singing was a big part of my life. But the theater stuff and acting came later. I used to watch a lot of movies. I had a lot of memorable moments just being at my dad's house, watching like all these iconic films like Sister Act, and I would watch all of those and be like, God, one day I'm gonna do that. And then I finally got the opportunity. I went to a performing arts summer program when I was like 9 or 10, and I started, that was my outlet, because in my town we didn't really have anything like that. And so I would get up every day during the summer, and I would go to this summer camp. And that's where I discovered the arts, and I was cast as Annie, and as Miss Hannigan in Annie. And then, I told my mom, I was like, this is what I want to do. I remember being on stage and how it felt to perform in front of an audience and to sing in front of an audience and trust my voice. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but maybe I'll do it. Then my mom, like, let me see, a year later, she's like, you know what? Your cousin just auditioned for this summer arts program in Greenville, South Carolina, and they do acting, they do dance, they do film, all of these things. Maybe if you auditioned, you could do it. I was like, I don't know. And so I remember asking my English teacher to teach me how to do a monologue. And I worked on a monologue with my mom. And I auditioned. I did not get in. I was heartbroken.
Wait, you didn't get in?
I did not.
Oh, no.
I was heartbroken.
How dare they?
How dare they? But I did it again the next year. And my mom told me, she was like, don't worry, don't cry. She's like, if you believe, you can get it. If you're gonna worry, don't pray. And so I was like, okay, let me do this again. And I tried it again the next summer, and I got in. And then after that, I was so sad. That was my first no.
But I think it's so important, like rejection is so important, I'm learning on the journey. But for you to experience that at 14 years old had to be eye-opening. I'm just so curious, how did experiencing that so early on set you up to deal with it in your 20s and in your 30s?
I was prepared. It was through the no where I didn't let it break my spirit. I mean, I let it, I cried. I cried a couple days. I felt like I wasn't good enough. But my mom really was in my ear, and she really was, she tried to just give me all the things necessary to don't cry, cry for a little bit, but if you work hard and if you believe, it can happen for you. And I went back and I was like, okay, I picked myself up, let me audition again, let me go talk to that English teacher again, let me go do another monologue, let me sing. And I went in there, I did it, I got in, and then my life was changed when they asked me to be a part of their newly cemented program that would go year-round. So I got to leave school and I went to performing arts high school, and it changed my life. At 15, I got to go and be an actor and study, be around other artists, and that's where it all kind of happened for me.
And at that point, or at what point did you have no plan B? All in on acting. Was that at 15 or did that happen a little bit later on?
No, I was at 15.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. There was no backup plan.
No, this is what I wanted to do, and I was going to make it happen.
Wow. I love that, there's this idea of the odds being stacked up against you and you still being able to persevere. Do you feel like that's been a part of the thread of your career, being from a small town, not being a Hollywood insider, not being from a big city? How has that played a role in the roles? Because it's very much like Raquel. We'll get to her in a second. But I feel like just your journey in general is someone who the odds have been stacked against you and you've always kind of pushed through.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't explain it. I've always wanted this. I always wanted to be something, and I didn't know how I was going to do it at first. My mom had me at 15, and I had a lot of people say, you know what, you're going to do the same. You're going to be the same. It's going to happen to you. And, I really wanted to prove to at that age, everyone around me. I wanted to prove it to the people in my life who told me that, that was a small time dream, that you could never do it. I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna prove them wrong. That if you really, really, really work hard and you push and you have a little faith, that anything is possible. My life has literally been moments and moments of anything is possible. And the thing that I've never strayed from is working hard. And I believe in working hard for everything in my life. And so,
I'll tell y'all, I saw her for the first time in 2011. She was working the boards in Sister Acts on Broadway. Okay, give it up for that. You were incredible. You were incredible. I mean, the habit, all of it, the choreo. And I heard an interview that you gave that I really loved where you talked about when you first were on Broadway, you kind of had this disease to please.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us in this industry get that disease to please. When did that change for you and how did it change for you?
Oh my God.
We go deep here. So we go deep. Yes.
I think first it was like proving everybody wrong, proving to myself that I could do all of these things. But then I'm sorry, they having a good time out there.
Oh yeah, can we get the curtains closed back there, you guys? Please?
No, man.
Yeah.
I think it was just, I tried to prove to people around me that no, I can do this. I am the person for this part. When Sister Act happened, I was the understudy first.
Oh, wow.
I
Was
got
not
the
supposed to
opportunity.
be.
I was not, no, so it wasn't supposed to happen like that. I was the understudy, and then I got to go on, and then everything changed for me. And so when I got on Broadway the first time, I was a newbie trying to prove to everyone around me then that I was a black woman that could be in the space. And at that time there weren't a lot of black women doing leading roles on Broadway. You know what I mean? We had our greats, obviously, but there weren't a lot. I mean, I think I may have been one of the only black girls that year that was leading a show. And so that meant a lot to me. So I went through all of that, and then I had a child. And then I was like, oh. I don't really care what anyone thinks of me. You start to know your value, right? You start to know what you bring to the table, and all of those experiences that I've had in my career where I have been ready for the moment. Nobody handed me anything. I was ready to be in those rooms, and I let sort of a couple things get to me at times, but then I started just you know what? No, I deserve to be in these rooms. I deserve to take up this space, and I'm a good person. I have a great work ethic, and why not? And then, so I think that answers the questions. When I had a child, I stopped caring.
Work. I love that. Kids do that for you. I have a 13-year-old, so I'm with you in that regards. My life changed, and the kind of, I think the way that I carried myself changed a lot after I had the kid. But I'm so curious for you, what, if any, role did Broadway and being on Broadway sort of play in your decision to take on this role? Raquel, having transitioned from Broadway to TV, was there any kind of thought process around it and how it prepared you in any way to say yes to this role?
I mean, I knew that I was pretty good at crafting characters. I think when on Broadway, not just Broadway, theater itself, you have this long extended period of time where you get to sit with the character, you get to really bring the character to life, you get to try it out in front of an audience, you get to find out what works, what doesn't work during the preview process. Then you get to take all of those things and be in a show, and nightly it changes depending on the audience. And so there is a freedom that you have, and there is being brave and jumping off, I like to say jumping off the cliff, which just means choices, taking chances, and not being scared. And so I think my theater work really prepared me to take on a character like Raquel, because I didn't really just want to play a strong character, a strong black woman. That's cool, but we have those characters always, you know what I mean? Great, she's strong. I mean, why is she so strong, right? She's strong because of all of the things that are going on inside and going on around her. So I was interested in finding out what that was, why she's so strong, The secret is, she's not really that strong. There's a lot of stuff going on. She's just holding it together because she has to hold it together. A lot of black women gotta hold it together, being a woman and being a black woman and in that time and taking up space and having the responsibilities that she has, not only to be in charge, but to, have raising a man, raising this without a partner, taking on the responsibility of raising a child that's not her own, that's a lot. And so for me, that's what I was interested in. And so I took all of the things that I love doing, which is crafting characters, which is finding ways that I'm like my character, and then finding ways that I'm not like my character, and trying to figure out how can I make her work? How can I make her exciting? How can I make her, just when she comes on screen, you don't want to take your eyes off of her? And what is she saying when she's not saying something? You know what I mean? What are those moments when there is no dialogue and her eyes, what's going on behind her eyes, So, long-winded way.
Clap, you guys, if you watch this show for Raquel. I watch for Raquel. Like, I'm sorry, if Raquel's not in the scene, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I watch for Raquel, and Raquel is a whole entire series in my mind. But I'm curious, for you, like with playing Raquel, what is the process like, kind of like transitioning from this, into Raquel? Like, do you play a playlist? Is there a practice you have to kind of physically get there? Is it the cat suit? Like, what is it that makes you?
I think it's just life. It's just experience. It's just all of the things that I've been through in my life. No, I'm not a drug dealer. No, I'm not a queen pin. I don't really kill people but there are a lot of things where I am like the character. Like, the weight of taking care of a family. I know what that's like. You know what I mean? I know what it's like to have a family member that is just really tricky. Like my brother's no longer with us, but like my brother was a driving force for me. So I know what those relationships are. I know how tricky those relationships can be. I know how tricky relationships between mother and son can be, because I watched my mother navigate that with my brother. So what I do is just, it has to be real for me, so that it's not acting, but it is acting. It's kind of therapy in a way, to be able to take on a character that has so much trauma, like so much trauma, and find the beautiful things about the character and find the not so beautiful things about the character. And so for me, when I put on the outfits, when I throw on the accent, get the voice gets a little deep, but I just barely move my mouth or whatever, look at myself when I have on my outfit, and I just go there. So it's easy, and I have really amazing cast members. I get to act with some really incredible artists that it makes it feel like you're not even acting, because we're so in tune with each other. I mean, it really is so wonderful so I don't have to do a playlist. I mean, there could be a playlist if it's more emotional, or a playlist if I have to do something crazy that I just want a little bit of something to get me there. But I just walk on set because it's a blessing to be able to play a character like that now. So yeah, it's a blessing. So I don't really do much playlisting and things like that. I just try to keep it as authentic and real.
Well, thank you for giving us Raquel, because I wanted her so bad, and she kind of scares me. Like low-key, Raquel's a little bit scary, but I like that Patina's not.
No, but I can be.
Ooh, okay, we like that. We like that.
Just don't push the button.
Come on. No, but it really does feel like this is a role of a lifetime. I'm so curious, take us back really quickly. How did you go about booking this? What was that process like? Was it like a shoe-in from the beginning, or did you have to come back several times?
So I was working on a show called Madam Secretary on CBS for, if you watch. Yes, thank you. On CBS for 6 years. And at the end of that, I had a child right in the middle of that, and I remember being like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I'd done Pippin, and I went straight into Madam Secretary for 6 years, and I was like, what is gonna happen? What am I gonna do? I had a mini breakdown, because, being a new mother, losing yourself a little bit. Like, I started to have a lot of things that mothers always go through, especially, I'm a working mother, and, I felt, I didn't really know what was going to happen once Madam Secretary ended. And I remember taking a trip out to LA, and I had a meeting with a friend of mine who worked at Lionsgate, and I just wanted to sit in his office, just talk through some things. Like, I remember talking to my friend, like, I don't know what's going to happen next, but let me just make a lot of meetings. I've been blessed to work on a show for 6 years. I know some people. Let me just start making some appointments. Like, what do I have to lose? Let me just walk in the office. If they say no, they say no, but let me have the appointment. And so I went on a couple of generals, and then I sat in my friend's office, and I met the casting director at Lionsgate, and then he asked me, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, okay, well, we're here. You asked. I said I had been on a show for 6 years. It was my first time doing television. I was a #1 on Broadway. I said I got a lot of great experience out of it, watching Taya Leone, watching all of these really incredible actors around me. I'm ready to lead my own show. And I just said it, and I was like,
Yes.
And you would be so lucky to have someone like me, basically. And then he just started talking about all of the shows they had, and we started talking about power, and I said, you know what, power is so amazing. Just like the social part of power, like everyone loves the show and people fight about power, and we just got into like, the ghost and Tasha and all that, and we started like talking about power. He's like, well, there is this, you might be right for something. Would you want to take it's one of the spinoffs? And I was like, yeah, sure. Hoping it's gonna be good. I'm like, oh Lord, let me hope it's good. You never know.
Yeah.
And so they sent me the script, and he's like, I think you'd be really good for it. Are you in town? And I said, well, I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Vegas for my birthday. He's like, well, do you want to meet? Do you want to meet the creative team before you leave? And I was like, sure. Let me read the script first. I read it. I put it down, and I called my agent. I was like, oh, I don't know what it is, because it was a fake title at that point, but I was like, who is this character? And I think it wasn't even Raquel. The character's name wasn't even Raquel. It was something, I don't even remember the name, but it was so powerful just reading it. And I all of a sudden had these visions of what this woman could be. And a lot of things that weren't on the page, I was like, given the opportunity, I would love to go in and really just work from the inside out. She's so strong, but ooh, there's something about her that's so vulnerable. There's something about her that is so sexy. And I started having all these ideas. And then I went in the room, I talked to them, and they told me to come back. I went to Vegas, had me a good old time. All my friends, my sister, I sure did go to Vegas. I said, look, I gotta go to Vegas. Like, I'll come back, but I gotta go to Vegas. And I came with my friends while we were there on our way to a club. My sister and my cousin were running lines with me, and my other friend, we were fake putting me on tape, so I was just getting into it. I was working on my accent, and I felt like on the way to the club, we were doing all this. So I went partied or whatever.
I love this.
Do you have recordings of this somewhere? I want to watch the recording.
I probably do.
Okay.
I probably do. Then I went back. I flew back the next day with my luggage, and I had to shoot the last scene from Madam Secretary the next day. I got there, and it was just me, and I was like, what does this mean? No one else is auditioning. What does this mean? I just saw like some Kanans, I just saw a couple of like young boys, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, what does this mean? So I get in the room, and I did my thing. And I was shooting the last episode on a Tuesday. I can't remember the day, might be wrong. And they yelled, cut, a series wrap on Patina, and I had a call from my team, literally while I was still on set. And I went into the back to take it, and they were all on the phone, and that's when he told me that I got the part.
I love that. And I feel like,
in my mind, Raquel is such a 180 from your role in Madam Secretary. Was it a resounding yes across the board with your friends and your advisors and folks? Because I go to folks a little bit too much to get advice sometimes. Was it a resounding yes from your circle?
You also have to ask the right people.
come on.
Not everybody gets to have you know, they don't all get to do that. So I really went to people that I trusted with this information and people, mentors in my life. And I have been very blessed to have some really amazing people in my life that I could go to for this kind of thing. And they were like, oh, you got to take it. You need to take it. You know, the show culturally is a phenomenon. It's so good. Like, you haven't done that. You know, you've been on Madam Secretary. They don't know who you are. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I got to do it. And yeah, it was a resounding yes from all the people that I asked.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
and
that.
mattered.
You know, a resounding yes from me is the fashion in the show. Y'all, the clothes that Raquel wears, the heels, like all of it. How involved are you in the process, and how much of it is it like, do you really love it, the fashion that they're bringing you to wear? Because to me, it's like, it's a whole other character. Each time she's on scene, her jumpsuits, the corsets, the belts, the boots and the heels, the Mary J. Blige boots of it all, you know, like, do you love the fashion?
I love it.
Yeah.
I definitely love it. I think that's why it works. I mean, you could probably tell if I was uncomfortable in it or anything.
It's not painful, them heels.
Yes, they are, but you know, you just gotta be fly. If you have to be fly, you have to be fly. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I had people picking me up, putting me in cars, like when I couldn't move in certain leather outfits, but you know, we do it for fashion, we do it for the part, and Raquel loves fashion, I love fashion, and we have an incredible costume department that really works their asses off and pays attention, and it's just been, everything has been so intentional and so spot on for the different characters. So yeah, I love it. Those clothes are amazing.
No, they're everything. They're like a whole other character in my opinion. Yeah. I want to touch on one other person in this season, season 4, who I got my whole entire life from, Tony Danza. Who grew up watching Who's the Boss? Did y'all watch Who's the Boss growing up? That was my show. So when I heard he was going to be in this series, I freaked out, I fanned out. I'm curious, did you grow up watching that show low-key too? Or were you familiar with it at all?
I was familiar.
The reruns. I mean, we young. It was the reruns that we caught. But did you fan out? Like, what was it like seeing him in that setting?
It was kind of wild. I've spoken about it a little bit to some other people, but we had a Zoom. We were doing the table read for like, I don't know, was it 308 or something? And they didn't tell us anything. They did not tell us Tony Danza was coming onto the show. We just got on our Zoom. We were about to start, and then I just see this guy cooking. He had like on an apron and like a towel over his shoulder. I'm like, God, that guy looks like Tony Danza. He's in that box. Like, is that him?
That's very Who's the Boss, by the way. An apron.
Oh my God.
That was a scene all the time in the kitchen.
He was cooking lasagna. I think it's probably because Tony loves to cook.
Yes.
Like, Tony's always in the kitchen, and so he was in the little box over there, and I was like, I started texting our little chain, like, is that Tony Danza? Literally all of us had the same face, like, is this Tony? And yes, it was Tony. And that was our introduction. We were all so shocked, so excited. I mean, how can you not love Tony? And for Tony to love the show the way that he did and want to be on the show like that, it meant the most. It meant that, you know what, we were doing something good. You know, people wanting to be on our show. Same with Wendell Pierce, you know, who's everything. You know, so it was confidence boosting. You know, that the work that we were doing, people were seeing it, and other actors were seeing it. I think being, you know, other actors who love your work is like the biggest compliment ever. And so to have someone like Tony Danza on the show has been incredible. And he's really wonderful this season. On the show.
Love it. Where do you hope to see Raquel go in future seasons? To me, I want a spinoff. I don't know if that's going to happen, stars. I want a Raquel spinoff. But where do you hope to see this character go?
I just want her to be happy, really. That's really it. I mean, that my hope for the character is that she can find happiness. I think she spends a lot of time putting out fires, trying to make it work, and it's so sad, you know, so someone that's always teetering on the edge and not knowing if it's gonna last or not, and always having to look over your shoulder. Like, that's just who she is. I think she thrives in the environment, but I would love like a happy ending for her. Why not? She deserves it. She deserves a soft life. That's like, you know.
Y'all know what Vibes and Views, we really do want to hear from you. Is there one or two questions, maybe up front, anybody up here that wants to ask a question, second row? not too far back. For I almost said Raquel. For Patina, yes. We can hear you.
What are your projects in the future? Are you working on something now?
Okay, so she asked, what are her projects in the future? What are you working on right now?
So,
Aside from this.
well, aside from this, there hasn't really been an opportunity to do anything else. I mean, the thing that I'm working on right now is music.
Come on.
Yeah. So I've been working on music for a long time, just never put it out because I'm a scaredy cat and an artist, and you want it to be perfect, and it's never good enough. But I am working on my own music, and hopefully it will make its way out in the near future.
Please put it out. We got magic to do.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, that's
come on.
yes, no Broadway. We got magic to do just for you. Anybody else? Oh, right here. Yes. Right? It's unbelievable. No, unbelievable. For y'all that couldn't hear, she asked, paraphrase, how did Patina get her mouth, her embouchure, the way that it was for, but she kind of drops into Raquel, and a follow-up question after that.
So it was intentional, it was specific. I listened to a bunch of people. I wanted it to be sort of this character who, how does she hold tension? How does she hold trauma? And so when I think about developing a character, I think about it all. I think about the voice. I think about how they move. I think about what things excite them. And so for me, the voice was the first thing that I wanted to find. And before we even started, so I started working on just the character working with the dialect coach in December. We started shooting in February. And so he would send me all of this different stuff, different people to listen to. I listened to some really early 50, not 50 now, because accents and dialects change with time. It changes depending on who you're around. And so for me, I wanted it to feel authentic. I wanted to feel special to her, special to the time period. So I started listening to tons of people from Southside Jamaica, Queens, that's older people. I looked at documentaries, and him and I worked together. And I remember I was on YouTube, and I was doing my research, and I stumbled upon this woman, this amazing Black woman. She was about the right age, and she was talking about gentrification in Southside Jamaica, Queens, and she was going off. And there was something about her mouth where she never opened her mouth really, and I was like, damn, she's going there and she's talking about gentrification, and she's just so intense with her mouth, and I loved it, and I thought, I can't take my eyes off of her. What is her story? And a lot of it came out of that tension, and I was like, oh my God, ooh, what if Raquel sort of had that same thing? You're watching this swaggy character, and she's so sexy and she's tough and she's all this and that, but where does she hold her tension? And so for me, that's how I developed that in my creative artist way of how I wanted to, little ways of showing different parts of the character. And so it just started out watching this really dope woman talk about how she was tired of gentrification and listening to her speak and listen to how deep her voice was, and mine was kind of deep too, and how could it sing? And so the accent kind of sings a little bit, and when she raises her voice, she never really raises her voice. And what is it like to spiral but keep it really low key? And I think that's more deadly than doing a bunch of yelling and shouting. And so I really, really worked on the character stuff is really specific, and I am so proud of that, and I thank you for watching that and appreciating that, because that's the work that I love to do.
It pays off. One more question up here. Yes.
So you've been rock for a minute.
That's my friend Nick.
Yeah, well, we love Nick. We love Nick. We love Nick.
You've been rock for a minute.
Yep.
And being in life, people want to play with you sometimes. Does rock ever come out in real life?
Oh, yep.
Tell us the time where it happened before.
I think, you know what, first off, I love that people love the show. And I had one really special encounter with a fan of the show, and I it caught me off guard. I was with my daughter, and
I was thinking that part.
I was with my daughter, and we were out walking, and then he just got so excited, and he forgot, and he like dropped his package, and he ran up on me, like barreled to me, like, oh, Rob! And he ran up to me, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I was like, yo, you need to stop.
I'm warning. You got out Raquel.
You need to chill out. Thank you so much. My daughter's right here. You can't be coming up, like, it's too close. You know what I mean? Like, but I was so respectful, and I love that he loved the show, but because I was with my daughter, I was like, how do I, like, get this to be okay? Like, she's afraid, but he had to get the hand. He had to get, like, the tone.
I love that. I love that. We're gonna wrap in a couple seconds. 2 more questions. I wanna ask you, in terms of your music, I feel like we've not seen you do any music on screen, really, like play a character who sings a biopic. Is there anyone on your list? Anyone that you wanna play, you know, in a biopic maybe?
Well, you know, I get a lot of...
She can sing, y'all. She can sing Down. Tony Award-winning songstress, okay? Yes.
I would love, you know, I get a lot of Diana Ross. A lot of people say that. It's these big eyes. Diana's an icon, so who wouldn't want to tell that story? Like, I would love to play Diana Ross.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get Barry Gordy on the phone
on.
after this. We know some people.
Yes, somebody
We can
on
make
phone.
something happen. Yeah. And my last question for you, we always ask this question. It's a tough question. What is the lesson that's taken you the longest to learn? You can think on it.
Really?
We go deep. We go deep.
I think just being gentle with myself. You know, because I'm an artist, because I want to be good. I think it started out because I wanted to prove something, that I was enough. I wanted to prove, you know, so my mom and my dad broke up a long time. Like, I was not a part of a two-parent home. So there was a lot of, like, me wanting to find acceptance with my dad. So I felt like I really tried to, like, you know, there was a lot of just me being, wanting to prove myself. And then you have the career, you get it, and then you have a child, and then you're trying to prove to yourself that you're a good mother, right? That you're a good daughter, a good sister. And that's a lot to, like, carry, a lot to carry. And I think what I'm working on right now is just being gentle with myself, right? And allowing myself to share, allowing myself to not have it together, allowing myself the space to, like, not have it all figured out, you know? Like, I go through things just like everybody goes through things, but we're all going through things on our own separate journeys. And yeah, I think it's just being okay with me, being gentle.
I want to thank her for coming out, y'all. She ran a full half marathon
With my friend!
yesterday. Not last week, yesterday. And you didn't cancel on me. You came out. I keep looking at your legs. I'm like, how are they even still looking this good?
You know, and I got a little PR.
I mean, okay, I don't know. I don't know how you did it, but I want to tell you, Patina, I think that you're a legend, you're an icon, and you are the moment.
Thank you.
I think your character is one of the most interesting characters on TV right now, and you're also, I think, one of the most talented women on TV. So we're grateful to give you your flowers. Thank you for coming out to Vibes and Views. Y'all stick around, grab drinks outside, have a good old time.
Thank you for
Patina.
having me, Sis.
Yes.
Thank you guys all for coming.
Yes, thank you.